Well, Spurs fans, this is not the mock draft I expected to see. What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Welcome to TSR Sports. Hope you're having a great week. How about that Grizzly Thunder series? Anyways, I caught a mock draft by Bleacher and I want to share with you because these are two players I've not seen mocked to the Spurs, so let's just get into it. With the 8th overall pick, the Spurs draft Trey Johnson out of Texas, a shooting guard. Another guard, guys. Another guard. All right. Let's see what they have to say about him. He is 6'6". Okay. We have a lot of players in that height range. Trey Johnson becomes a best player available candidate for any team outside the top 5, which is us, unfortunately. For the Spurs, who now have De'Aaron Fox speed, they could covet the Texas product's shooting and accept the limitations as a driver. Accept his limitations as a driver. Okay, limitations. Not a word I like to see, but all right. He wowed with perimeter creation, footwork for separation and rhythm, balance on his jumpers, and high-level shot-making skill from and on and off the ball. All right, so far so good. He also settled at times and struggled to get himself easy baskets at the rim or free throws. Okay. Moving right along, last paragraph. Johnson will look like an easy fit and surefire scorer shooter to plug in right away. Okay. He'll likely start to draw serious consideration closer to number 4 and number 5. I'm assuming they're talking about draft position there, based on the idea that it's difficult to reach a certain level of stardom, relying so heavily on tough pull-ups or step backs without offering another layer of playmaking or impact defense. Hold on. He relies on a lot of pull-up jumpers and step backs. Where have I seen that before? Not trying to throw shade, but I don't really know Trey Johnson's game. I haven't, because he hasn't been mocked to us like ever. I haven't been following his game. Is this Devin Vassell 2.0? And I'm not trying to throw shade at Devin Vassell, but I don't want another player that does the same thing as somebody we already have on the team. So, I don't know. Trey Johnson at the 8th pick, I'm not crazy about it, but what also really shocked me on this mock draft, Spurs fans, is when we jump all the way down to the last pick in the lottery, you're like, I'm sorry, we're going. I don't want to scroll too fast and mess things up. But with the 14th overall pick, they had the San Antonio Spurs drafting Colin Murray Boyles, the power forward out of South Carolina. I'm thinking, power forward? Okay. Right? We need a big, right? Well, he is big weight-wise. He's 245 pounds, but he's 6'7". So another guy that's in that 6'4 to 6'7 range. We have a plethora of those guys. All right, what do they have to say about CMB? Even without a jump shot. Whoa, hold on. Even without a jump shot. I don't like it already. CMB was one of the toughest one-on-one covers in the SEC this year. Okay. The big question asks, how well will it translate to the next level, given the questions about his fit, the fit of a 6'7", 245-pound non-shooting big. Okay. But there's a but. All right. Aside from scoring with strength, footwork, and instincts from the post, he did more this year facing up, using his dribble in both hands to attack and finish. The ability to initiate offense and drive from the perimeter has helped create extra needed scoring versatility for the next level. By the way, they have the comps of Julius Randle and Anthony Mason for him, and I believe the comp for Trey Johnson was Tyler Hero. That's all they have on those guys. But seeing those two picked, I've obviously heard of both. Again, have never seen them mocked to the Spurs on anything. Con Knipple's been mocked to us a lot. Sometimes I've seen Derek Queen, Lee McNeely quite a few times. I got to say, and I'm very curious on your thoughts on this. If this played out, and of course these are just mocks, likely not to happen, but there's always a chance. You say there's a chance. If the Spurs drafted Trey Johnson number 8 and CMB at 14, would you like it? Because me personally, I would not like that draft. I'd be very disappointed. I'd be yelling Brian wrong instead of Brian right. This draft scenario here addresses 0 of our size issues. A 6'6" player and a 6'7". So the only big on the team would be Wemby. I don't think Biombo's coming back. I don't think Bassey's definitely not coming back. Mamu, and those are undersized bigs as it is. A lot of those guys are 6'9". So it doesn't address any of our size issues unless there's a master plan to do it in free agency. And it brings another non-shooter in Colin Murray Boyles, which I understand, Spurs fans, we could get a non-shooter in this draft if we do draft Queen or Malawach, if he falls, if they decide to take him at 8. But drafting a 6'7" guy that can't shoot, we have a ton of guys that struggle with the three or can't shoot the three. Stephon Castle needs to work on his shot. Jeremy Sohan, heck, De'Aaron Fox, Blake Wesley, amongst others. Keldon Johnson's three-point percentage is way down. And then we're going to bring in another non-shooter? We need shooting and size. Yeah, we get the shooting with Trey Johnson, but we don't get the size. And then we don't really get either with CMB. I would not like this. And I got to say, Spurs fans, if we don't get a top 4 pick, I'm not thrilled about the spot at 8. Actually, I quite don't like it looking at this draft, especially if this is a guard-heavy draft. I would be cool with the Spurs trading back from number 8. If they can't get the guy they want, which at this point we obviously don't know who that is, but trade back, and then maybe you have the 14th pick from Atlanta, and you trade back to, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, whatever, and draft Rasheer Fleming and Danny Wolf. A lot of you guys want Danny Wolf. I've been big on Rasheer Fleming. Gives us size with both, gives us some shooting, and we maybe have a future asset too if we trade back. Also, it would certainly help the contract situation because the higher the pick, the more expensive it's going to be. And 2 guys on the teams are going to be a heck of a lot cheaper than a guy that's 8, or if we just, if we do drop in the top 4. So this is a tough draft. We got to get in the top 4. That's it. That makes it easy. Get in the top 4, right? Drafting 8th, what would you be okay with? Me personally, if they're available. Con Knippel's been mocked to us a lot. I'm skeptical on him. One of you even called him Luka Samanic 2.0, which hearing that scares the heck out of me. I hope that's not the case, but he seems like not a very athletic guy, but he plays smart. He can shoot. We'll see on that. If Asa Newell's available at 8, okay, I'm on board. If Derek Queen's available, which oddly enough, some mocks have Derek Queen going in the top 6. I've seen him, but with these mocks, I'll close on this, Spurs fans. It is really tough to get a gauge on a lot of these players. I mentioned Rasheer Fleming. I've seen him mocked into the lottery. I've seen him mocked all the way down to 30. What the heck's going on with him? I mentioned Derek Queen. I think in this one they have him going in the top, or I've seen mocks with him going in the top 10, and other mocks where he's going around 12. It's a crapshoot. We know that teams can do the unexpected. We did the unexpected with, sorry to bring him up, Joshua Primo in 2021, projected to go in the mid-20s. We take him at 12. 2022, we take Jeremy Sohan at 9. Jalen Duren was available. Jalen Duren, at the time, I think, was projected to be a top 6 or 7 lottery pick, and he falls out of the top 10. We don't know what's going to happen draft night. I like speculating about it. I like talking about it because it's a very exciting time of the year. But if one of those teams does the old reach a Rooney thing, and takes somebody projected in the teens and brings them all the way up into the top 10, then that changes everything. We may see it happen once. We may see it happen twice. Heck, last year's draft, weren't there some surprises? Last year's, there's always some kind of surprises. Players dropping. There's a dude the Rockets drafted that was originally like a top 6 or 7 pick, and he fell to like number 20 or something. So we don't know how things are going to play out draft night, but I like talking about it with you guys because it's exciting. And in all seriousness, Brian Wright needs to be Brian Wright on this one. He needs to nail one of the two if we draft both picks, 8 and 14, or wherever they land. They could move up, they could move down. I do want to clarify one thing for you guys, actually, before I close out, because I've been seeing comments about this. I've seen some Spurs fans commenting, TSR, what if the Atlanta Hawks pick jumps up to, like 7 or 6 or 7? So with the NBA lottery, the Spurs have 8 and 14 right now. Either of those picks can only jump into the top 4. That's what the May 12th is for, the lottery results with the balls. You can only jump into the top 4. After that, it goes by worst record first, best record last. So what I mean by that is if the 8 and 14 don't jump into the top 4 and there's no other movement, then they'll stay at 8 and 14. The 14th pick can't jump up magically to number 7 or 10 or whatever. That pick 14 will stay at pick 14, and that's the pick, of course, that's least likely to move. I'm not sure a 14th overall pick has ever jumped up to number 1. But just to clarify, so there's no confusion, we can either get up into 1 to 4, or then they land where they land by record. So if a team jumps up from number 12 into the top 4, and that's the only move, then our 8th pick jumps back to number 9 because a team leapfrogged us, and our 14th pick stays at 14. Hopefully that makes all sense. I can't wait till May 12th. In the interim, I'm going to keep calling these Thunder games, and hopefully the Grizzlies make it interesting. I was looking at the playoff brackets. The Thunder would play the winner of the Clippers and Nuggets next, and they're having a heck of a series. So, man, I don't know what I'm rooting for, but to be honest with you guys, since this is primarily Spurs channel, I think I'd like to call some games with old number 2. It's just, why not? I never got to call playoff games with Kawhi when he was with the Spurs. I did cover the Raptors when they won a championship in 19, so I have covered them in the past. But Clippers and the Thunder, SGA versus Kawhi. That could be fun. So I guess I'll root for the Clippers. Then again, if the Nuggets get in, Jokic is a fun player to watch. I just hope for a good game. Yeah, hopefully it's better than the current series that we're calling here on the channel. That's all I got. Like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. Thank you, and always, go Spurs, go.